Robots Radio. Games, lore, stories, community. Just press play. Welcome to the Fallout Lorecast, the podcast that explores the boundaries of our knowledge about the world of Fallout. Wastelanders and Vault Dwellers, welcome back to the Fallout Lorecast. We are following up with the second to last, the penultimate episode of Season 1. Isn't it penultimate? We don't get to say penultimate enough.
Yeah, penultimate, it's one of those words that I use, and after I use it, I go, did I use that correctly?
It's a great word. But yeah, episode 7, the radio. John's back with me. We're talking through this episode, and then we're going to knock out this episode, and then the next episode of the show will be episode 8 of Season 1, which we're going to try to get out before Season 2 drops to get you right up to speed for right when the show comes out with Season 2. So I'm so excited. It's coming up so soon. But John, let's go back through the episode. I've got all my notes ready. You've got your notes. How you doing? You excited?
I am excited for 2 reasons. 1, this episode was awesome. And 2, the last time we recorded, I had a horrible chest cold, and I don't have that anymore. So I'm really excited to be able to speak and not randomly have to drink water so I don't choke into a microphone.
Yeah, and just in case you didn't know, maybe you're just tuning in for episode 7 for some reason of Season 1's recap. This is John from the 40K Lorecast and the History of 40K, and also my co-host on Retro Recall, which just dropped its second episode. It's a bi-weekly show. We talked about Mega Man 2. It's up on YouTube. It's up on audio podcasts.
I've been corrected on that. It's a fortnightly show, because the problem with bi-weekly is bi-weekly can be, it's annoying both once every 2 weeks or twice in 1 week, but fortnightly can only be every 14 days.
Right. And I noticed this in Google Calendars actually changed it to semi-weekly if it's 2 in a week and bi-weekly if it's every other. So maybe Google knows something we don't. I don't know.
They probably do. I mean, fortnight is not a phrase I like using, but I have to on one of my Warhammer shows.
When you're wearing your banana costume and dropping noobs. On the battlefield. Anyway, let's get into episode 7. It's called The Radio, and there's a good reason it's called The Radio. I mean, the radio is a big part of Fallout games, being able to play the radio while you're playing through the game, but also it features an actual radio station, and we're going to get to that part because that part's awesome. But here, we're going to break down every scene and just pull out the stuff that we noticed. And John, like usual, I'm going to just kind of recap each scene, and then you chime in with stuff as we go. So it starts off, we're with these desert-looking ranger guys wearing New Vegas-y looking outfits, right? But they're kind of living in their own little place.
Well, that's an NCR helm. That was a problem. This thing opens and you get super excited because it's a guy. It's the NCR has finally entered the game, and it's a dude just wearing a NCR helmet. Right.
It's the Rangers outfits and things like that, which means maybe they were NCR, maybe they currently are NCR, maybe they took stuff from a dead Ranger, who knows? But they've got their metal detectors. They're clearly making a living by just scavenging stuff. And we get the cool Fallout music in the background at the beginning of this one. And then we get Eric Estrada.
Yeah, it's funny. I have the same note. Eric Estrada. That was my the same note.
From Chips. Excited. Yeah, you and I have been talking retro games and stuff. We've been in this like 80s, 90s mindset. And I'm like, holy crap, guy from Chips.
Yep.
Awesome. But the ghoul's there. He's eating his food. The guy comes in, thinks he's eating his daughter. Everyone seems to think ghouls eat people, but he's not. She's providing him food.
I mean, to be fair, they do. It's just this one doesn't.
This one doesn't, right? And not all of them do. It's mostly the feral ones that do. And he's not feral, and we know that. But maybe they haven't realized if he's turned or not. And his son shows up, and we find out that there are 2 sons, and the ghoul's there in order to get information. And he had to put down Rufus, or is it the eldest is Rufus? That's the one he had to kill. Tommy is the younger one, and basically he's just there to get some information. He needs to find where Moldaver is, right? And so the situation plays out, and they give up that information. But then the ghoul's like, well, you're going to come after me, so I have to kill you anyway. It was basically the resolution there.
Yeah, and I like this scene because what you're getting a bit more of is it's kind of showing how long the ghoul has been a major player for a long time, because the Eric Estrada character is just basically trying to get him to leave because he knows they can't kill him, and the ghoul will slaughter all of them. But of course, the ghouls, and this is why the ghoul's so important to me, because he is this complex character, and we'll cover him more as we get, especially in the last episode, we learn more and more about him. Yeah. But he is this kind of tough read because he has morals but he's also doesn't have them.
He's learned what he needs to do to survive in the wasteland. And you could say it's heartless of him to kill the other son in that situation.
Right.
But he also knows, no, if I don't kill him now, he will come after me and I will be dead. So I have no choice. I have to.
Right. But he's also kind of invincible.
Yeah, I mean, it does come across like he might be invincible, but I mean, I don't think he's officially invincible, but he definitely can take a few bullets, as we've seen him do.
Yeah.
So that scene plays out, and it again reminds us that he is not the person he used to be. But then we go back to the past. The next scene, we're at Moldaver's meeting. And he's gone there with his buddy. She's talking to the audience and she's sipping her tea, looking so wholesome. This feels like a marketing move from her to come across as very approachable and wholesome. Did you get the same vibe?
Well, yeah, I liked it. But the idea here was, again, a lot of this is Red Scare. That's what there's so much of the idea of the lead up to the bomb drop of Fallout was McCarthyism and that type of thing.
Right, 1950s, afraid of communism stuff for anybody who doesn't know those terms. Yes.
Right. And I think what we get out of her is she's very calm, she's very relaxed, but more importantly, she's very intelligent, which is something that we do see a lot more when we look at movies about the Red Scare. If you watch Oppenheimer, if you watch those things, they talk about some of these communist meetings being not really communist meetings. They were just like, hey, I kind of just want to have food.
Right. Yeah, and being labeled as something because it was against the current agenda or administration or whatever.
Exactly, because it's easier. And she has a couple really great lines in it talking about how, like people can call us whatever they want, but it's just the terms that are made up.
Yes. In fact, I have that line where she says, I'm not a communist, Mr. Howard. That's just a dirty word they use to describe people who aren't insane. Yeah. Which I thought was genius because it wraps up the scene. But she's talking about how, America's future is headed off of a cliff. It's coming up fast. She explains to him there's a few facts that get dropped here. Vault-Tec at this point in time is the largest corporation in the world.
Yeah.
In the world. She knows his wife. So we get that. We also find out that she worked for a company developing cold fusion. Until
she
Vault-Tec
worked for companies. That's what's so crazy. Yeah. Vault-Tec bought them all,
right?
Which was funny because then he said like, "Oh, the platinum chip," which then we get revealed. I remember when I first saw it, I'm like, "The platinum chip," and I was like, "Oh yeah." Now this what we're getting into now is they start tying in New Vegas hard. The next two episodes. Go hard.
Right. Platinum chip, a cold fusion, the connections to House, and then the meeting that comes up in a little bit. We get all that stuff. But basically, the big reveal here is that Vault-Tec bought the means to end the resource wars. And as she says, put it on the shelf. Yep. Basically, they have the power of cold fusion because Moldaver and her team developed it. And they're like, we're not going to use it because we can make more money if we don't solve the resource wars.
Yeah. Which has always been kind of the question around the Enclave, Vault-Tec, and all this stuff is what is the real end game here? And we do actually kind of get to it. It's a
Bud's Buds. Bud talks about Bud's Buds in a future scene, and we get a sense of this is what Vault-Tec is actually after is basically beating the competition using a game that they don't even know they're playing, which is waiting them out. Is the idea?
Yeah, doesn't make a ton of sense, but it's fine. We'll get into that later.
Well, I think we can get into it later, but I think you're right. It doesn't make complete sense, but it also you have a guy like Bud. And he doesn't come across like he's all there, Yeah. He's a little overly friendly. He seems to have no qualms with anything. He seems to almost not even have a moral compass. He's so happy-go-lucky that he's just kind of okay with whatever. And he thinks he's a genius. That's the way he kind of comes across, right?
Yeah. In our next episode, we'll get into what becomes of Bud.
Yes. But this all ties together really well, and it's very cool. Yeah. So it moves on. We get the credit scene with a vat of bubbles, which makes sense because we're going back to Vault 4, and Lucy is cuffed to the table. She needs to see the holotape. They're like, she needs to see the holotape. The overseer's last words.
This part's hilarious.
Yeah, the scientists were given control of Vault 4 in order to have a vault run by scientists. And they try hybridizing humans with radioactive resistant species in order to see if they could make humans who could then go back out into the surface to repopulate the surface and not have to worry about radioactivity. This turns them into gulpers and all sorts of other weird mutations. And of course, everything goes bad. And their descendants are there now trying to solve the problem that was left to them by the vault. And that's why they have these women in these containers, is not because they're experimenting on them so much as they're just trying to figure out how to fix the problem that they have.
How to undo them. How to undo the pieces. And so that's when Lucy discovers that the vault that she thought was evil is actually the good one. And there's a great line in this where they ask her, well, what's the experiment your vault was in?
Yes. And she says there was none. And they're like, we get this line. He says, your ignorance cannot excuse your cruelty. You must pay the price, which basically it's another double entendre. Your ignorance about the things that are happening here and your violence towards us cannot be excused, but also your ignorance about what is actually going on in vaults and the fact that you're unaware that you're part of an experiment is also implied, right?
Yeah. I mean, this is where my love of Fallout really started to come out, because the best part of Fallout is the reveal of what's really going on. The vaults being horrible places. This part's really great. Then what I like too is, again, we get Maximus is going to shift soon, but we still get kind of dolty Maximus. They start dragging her back and she's screaming and all this stuff. And so that's when he pops up.
He's eating his popcorn in his robe. Yeah.
He just couldn't be happier. And he pops up to go save the day. And their whole plan is to basically scold her.
Right.
That was really
right. And then they're like, and then kick her out and be like, well,
and he comes blasting in power armor, ready to kill a bunch of people. And they're like, we were just going to ask you to leave.
Right. Right. And which is kind of the same mistake that she already made. And now he's doing it. Now he's delayed.
Doing it. And the idea is, what I like about this, it really is showing how bad the surface is, because that is kind of why the vaults view people as surface dwellers. Yeah. And I'm going back to like Fallout 2 with Vault City, where the Vault City didn't want to let anyone be a citizen unless you were from the vault. It's because they didn't trust the surface dwellers. There was no way to get in there unless, even with your 11th toe being cut off and then passing the exam. That I gotta play that game so much. Anyway, but far into that one.
That ideology though ties directly back to Vault Tech and the things that the leadership in Vault Tech are saying about how the surface dwellers are going to. And we get to that meeting later, and I'll cover that. But you can see that the messaging of surface dwellers being lesser than vault dwellers and anyone else is there from the beginning before the bombs even drop. So you recap the scene where they're like exiling her and they do the thing where they're going to cut, like they're going to kill her, but no, they're not killing her. They're just cutting the leather that holds her wrist. And then really Maximus comes in, all that whole scene. Yeah. And we get a song in that scene. Only You Can Make This World Seem Right by the Platters. And again, in this episode, we get a real strong, they're really driving the idea that there is some sort of romantic connection between Lucy and Maximus. And it plays in the music, it plays in their glances at each other and all sorts of other stuff. Before that scene plays out, there's a quick little scene with Thaddeus at Red Rocket with dog meat and the head.
Oh yeah, I forgot that happened. Yeah. That's right.
So just going back to that real fast, the song that's playing there as he's dragging himself with his mutilated foot up to sit on the trunk of a car is 16 Tons by Merle Travis, right? 16 Tons and What Do You Get? And there's a line there that says muscle and blood and skin and bone. And then he pulls his foot out of his sock and it's like falling apart. He stuffs the fusion core in his shirt. He hides his big pack in the car and he puts dog meat in the cooler. And that's basically the scene. But I thought that was great because it really showed like how messed up his foot. In fact, I've gotten splinters and limped harder than he did with a foot that was basically falling off.
It didn't exist anymore. Yeah.
So we got that scene, and then we have the whole Max showing try to save Lucy, and now they're outside, right? And Lucy says, "You stole their fusion core. They'll last a few days. Then what? Give it back." Max replies, "I can help people with this armor. You, for example." You can see that he's trying to make justifications for doing good things, but also doing bad things in order to do good things. Yep. He seems a little confused, but really he's just justifying his want to have the armor to keep himself safe.
I'm going to get weird here. I'm going to go ahead and go Don Quixote. And that's kind of, I think, whenever I have a scene where someone believes that they're noble while doing unnoble acts, I always go back to Don Quixote because that's what this reminds me of. He is delusional in who he really is primarily. Maximus does at this stage believe he's a knight. He's been wearing the power armor for
Right.
a bit. He's actually fallen into, and when I say knight, I don't mean like the paladin of the Brotherhood of Steel. He views him as like a knight. I am here to right the wrongs of the wasteland. Then this may actually turn him into a much better character arc. But in reality, he's just attacking windmills.
He still doesn't really know what he's doing or how to do that correctly.
And he's harming people in the process.
Right. Yeah. He has some very deep needs that have not been addressed, but he's starting to see that there might be a better path forward because she's inspiring him. I think you're right. I think that he's going, okay, but I can do good things with this power armor, right? So it's worth it. And I think this conversation shows the nuance of the dilemma of how difficult it is to pick the right thing to do sometimes. And she responds with this line, which I thought was super interesting. If my dad found out I destroyed an entire community to save him, that'd break his heart, which is super ironic because that's basically the same thing that Hank did in order to like take care of the things that he wanted to take care of. And yet she has no idea, thinking that he would never justify that. And we'll soon find out that he, in fact, would justify that for himself. Yeah. So,
Sancho.
So great stuff.
Sancho. I've read Don Quixote a lot, so it's one of the things where like every time he does something up, like, so now I'm like, yeah, so in this scene, she's Sancho. The whole idea is like, no, she's bringing him back to reality of like, no, this is not who you really are. Yeah. And it's a good, I like this scene a lot because one thing I like about this too is that Lucy still thinks her father is the greatest being that has ever lived.
Right.
She looks up to him, and she still, despite what she just saw in the vault, is still not doesn't realize the vaults are bad.
Right.
And that to this is where, I mean, the character arcs here are always great, but Lucy's character arc is still hasn't crested yet. She's realized the outside is terrible. She realized that they've been lied to, though, because the bombs fell. I mean, she doesn't realize it's been 200 years. She thinks it's actually been less than that. She's trying
Maximus thought it has been less than that, but she's the one who said what has happened in the last 200 years. So she has a sense of how long it has been, but is still very naive about why and how all of that went about. Yeah.
And so that's where her arc is, whereas Maximus is actually, his arc's going the other way. He's already now at this scene, he's crested into the worst of himself, and now he's going to improve.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, you kind of have this cross section of both of their paths coming together from different angles. Yeah, if you were to draw it on a map. Yeah, that's really cool. We also get some lines here. We don't have oysters in my vault, says Lucy, talking about like, you should come back to my vault, all of that. I don't have the best of luck when it comes to strangers, but you are the best stranger I have ever met. You are a good person, Titus. Come live with us when this is over, with me. And that's when he admits, okay, listen, I'm not Titus. This is my story, basically. And then Lucy admits that the wasteland has made her do things she regrets. Acid in a man's face. And she drops this little line here. It's only been 2 weeks. So now we know it's been 2 weeks since she left the vault. This is not every episode is not a day. It's actually been 14 days. And then we get the confirmation that Max says, okay, I want to come with you. We'll go find the head, but I do want to come back to your vault with you. And again, reconfirmation that not only does he want a safe place, but he's attracted to her. Yeah. She's the nicest, most beautiful person she's probably already ever met, that kind of thing. So we get that. And then we go back to Thaddeus. He's limping. We find out it's Fiddle Week on the radio.
Oh, God. Everything about the radio is fantastic. First off, that music's rough. But second off, the announcement of no visitors, do not come here. If you have an issue, send a postcard. Yes. Because that's also comes up a lot in the Fallouts when you're talking about, is it Black Mountain Radio? Yes, Black Mountain Radio. Okay. That one's a little bit goofier. There's been a few, I mostly go to Fallout, New Vegas.
Or Three Dog in Fallout 3.
Three Dog. But the Three Dog will let you come there. But I remember in New Vegas, there was a lot of, when it was it Lucy? Who was the super mutant? God, that was fun.
Names fall out of my head. I hate.
It's okay.
This is why I always prepare my notes because I can't ever remember names. When I played
the game, that was the station I was listening to because I just got a kick out of it. But anyway, that is kind of an idea of like, I think there was another station, a different game too, where it was like, don't come see me. Like you're not welcome here. I don't want you here. I'm just playing the music. Leave me alone. Oh, I mean, even in Fallout 4.
Right.
The guy running the station is just like,
and he has a whole character arc and
exactly,
stuff. Yeah. So we get the broadcast. The chicken guy is almost killing himself. He runs into Thaddeus. Hey, I can help you. basically takes him back, and they have this little thing, you know, why don't I shoot you right now? Well, you don't know which one to take or how to use it, and you need me to help you out. And then he takes the whatever the meds are.
And I like this again because the way he crafted the meds reminded me of, this is again more later Fallout games, where you would craft your own supplies. Did it get a little bit over the top in Fallout 4? Yeah, guys, at a certain point, the amount of crafting I had to do got a little bit annoying.
Sure.
But, you know, the game was fun as hell, but it reminded me of that. If he's like taking all these pieces and then making a homemade stim pack.
Which is it a stim pack? It doesn't seem to be, because
it seemed that way. It has a side effect later. The initial bit is pretty impressive.
Right. And so this gets weird from that point on. But we find out that he's looking for the radio tower. It's near Shady Sands. It's radioactive, but you don't need to worry about that anymore, says the chicken guy, and he leaves, which makes us all go, that wasn't just a stim pack.
No. Yeah, something bad has just, very, very bad has just happened.
Right.
Oh, and he also gives him the fusion core.
Yes,
which
he trades the
doesn't
fusion core.
come up, but I could see it coming up in a future episode.
I mean, we know that he's in season 2. He showed up in the trailer. So is he an important character with a fusion core for something going on in season 2? Maybe. Maybe this is a Chekhov's gun kind of thing. So the mention of radiation here, I think, is the thing that makes it most possible that this is FEV, and was the thing that I hooked onto before seeing season 2. And then, he is actually mutating. He's got a little mouth in his neck or whatever else he hasn't shown us. And so this seems like there's FEV in that injection.
I could see that. Yeah, you're right. Because you're right. It's what we see later. That's not ghoul stuff later. It's
not ghoul stuff. It could have been ghoul stuff, but it's not. So there's something else going on there. So it seems more like this is some sort of weird, random FEV sort of mutation. People have talked about how it reminds them of, name's falling me. The guy with the stick in his head.
Bob. Well, the stick is Bob. Bob's the stick.
And names are hard.
Sorry.
Fallout guy with stick in his head.
Tree guy.
Harold. So I watched Stranger Things, the most recent season of Stranger Things, and then we went out to dinner, and I was like, the guy who's the brother of the other, I just watched it and can't remember the names.
Harold.
Harold, yes. So some people are like, well, maybe he's kind of like Harold, kind of like a one-off sort of thing. That could be true too. We don't know. So I guess we'll find out. All right. So we get Vault 33, back to Norm. The song that plays is What a Difference a Day Made by Dinah Washington, which plays into the scene because it's now been a whole other day. Everything has changed in the vault. Norm's feeding the raiders. Betty is sending out vault assignments.
Not yet. I mean,
not yet. There's an announcement on the over thing that she's about to do so.
There we go. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then there's a line, wherever you end up, that's where you belong.
Exactly. It's a very good line because it's very Vault Tech-esque of everything happens because that was always in Vault, everything happens for a reason.
Right. Everything's under control.
Think back to Fallout 3 when you're taking the exam, and then even the professors, it doesn't matter what you fill out. We're gonna assign you to wherever we're gonna do it. The test isn't that important. Yeah. Yeah. And then we get a cool scene of wait, is that a dead body? And then wait, is that a bunch of dead bodies?
Yeah.
And that's what and it becomes this. We don't really ever get an answer as to what happened. But I think it was
Betty. I'm pretty sure Betty kills them because they are a problem and they don't need to be in the vault anymore. And so she just gets rid of them. But then they drag off the girl who was watching the door, kind of guarding the cell. Right. And she's like, I never would have done that. And I believe her. I think it was most likely
Or it could have
Betty.
been Norm. I mean, that's the thing.
Could have been Norm, but what would Norm have gained from killing them? Betty
Joy.
as the new overseer. No, but he's not malicious. But Betty as the new overseer would have to deal with them in some way. If she let them out to the surface, then they would be a problem because they could come back in greater numbers. So there's really, and she knows they're never going to integrate into the vault. So the only solution for her is kill them. Just get rid of the problem.
Yeah. Okay, I was thinking Chet and Steph, but you're right.
Steph might have done it too because she was from Vault 31 and might be in cahoots with Betty about what to do. But I don't think Chet knows what he's doing in
Yeah,
any
you're right.
regard.
Chet has a good line coming up, though. So, yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. He has a very good line coming up. But
Right.
yeah. Anyway, I like it. They're all dead, and everyone's freaking out.
Yeah, and Betty
that's
gives Norm, there's a line from her where she looks at him and goes, "What did I tell you, Norman? Words have meaning."
Mm-hmm.
So there's these undertones of like, you made me do this. Like, I didn't want to have to do this, Norm, but now I have to because of you, is kind of the tone of this. And then people, there's this other line, people will be upset. And Betty says, people like to have something to fuss about.
Yep. And that's when she hits the button to give everyone their assignments.
Yep.
And that's one of my favorite bits because you see everyone all of a sudden just rushing around. You see them all celebrating. Like some are excited to leave. Others are thrilled to stay.
Yeah.
It's all of those things. And then you get the really great scene, which is Norm going to go see Chet.
Chet and Stephanie's place. Yeah.
Yep.
Stephanie says, I'm holding the baby, so you have to pack everything to Chet.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, I'm busy holding a baby, so you have to do all the other work.
Well, we get it. Yeah, I don't want to jump ahead, but we get a very good reveal on Steph in the next episode, and what her real purpose is and all these things. Right. But yeah, I like this whole bit of that. But I love the line where Norm is talking to Chet, saying, "So you should pretend nothing happened," and Chet just kind of like shrugs his shoulders, and Norm says to him, "You know, you're a coward, Chet."
Yes.
And Chet comes back with, "We all are. We live in a vault."
Right. We all are, Norm. We live in a vault. Yeah.
It's a great line because it's true. Yeah. And it implies that he also understands that they could go out to the surface and they choose not to.
Right. I also think it sets Norm up even more so to not be a coward. That's where we see this going. Is that's his character arc is he's showing that he's not a coward. He doesn't want to be like everyone else. And he never has wanted to be like everyone else. He's never felt like he fit in the vault at all. So why continue being a coward? And so he realizes that he's more capable. And these are all the steps along that path, right?
Yeah.
So we get back to the ghoul and he goes to Red Rocket. He notices the blood on the ground. He tastes it, which makes me think that he knows the difference between the way human blood tastes and other creatures' blood's taste, because
yeah, no idea.
He's doing the tracker thing that happens in movies, be honest, right?
I don't think it was that well thought out. I thought someone just like, what if he tastes it to know what's going on?
Yeah.
Like, well, what does that mean?
This is like a movie thing. You see it in movies and TV shows where like somebody's tracking somebody and they like taste the thing, or like there's some sort of drug or something and they just take a little taste on their tongue and like, yep, this is definitely the stuff. And it's like,
there's a great Reno 911 of that. They keep tasting the drug over and over again. They're like, "What is this?" They keep going back for more. Like, no, it's not. It's not cocaine. And they go back again. Is this that weird stuff that was going on a couple weeks ago? No, it's not that. And all of a sudden, they're both very high.
They're just like out of their minds. Yeah, that's great. So anyway, that's great.
But yeah, but you're right. The ghoul. I like to think the ghoul does save the dog.
Yes,
and pulls the dog out. Like, all right, and then they just. But then we start getting in this episode and then the next one. I mean, it's not G.I. Joe Transformer level scene cuts, but we start getting those very like the scenes are you get someone in the future to the past, the past back to the future.
Yes,
different characters where you're kind of getting that and I like it because it gives you the feeling of, oh, something's happening. We're really getting to something big. And so we get this quick cut now back to the past.
Right. Right. And he's at home with his wife's Pip-Boy. And they're like you said, they're threading these scenes together because they want to draw direct comparisons from one scene to the next. Mm-hmm. So the song on the radio is Yeah, Yeah, Baby by Cool Papa Jarvis. I don't think that this one, most of the songs that I've mentioned have something to do with like the mood of the scene or subtext in the lyrics or something like that. This one I think is just setting. It's just, they just have the radio on a song called Yeah, Yeah, Baby. This is where he connects the listening device. He puts the thing in his ear, and then he throws it in the trash. And we're like, oh, he's not going to do it. And this is a typical movie,
of course he was
TV show trope of like, I will never do that thing. And then next time you see them, they're like, okay, I'll do the thing. Yeah. Same kind of thing. Later in that night, he goes back out and he's watching himself on the TV Vault-Tec ad, which I think is like the straw that breaks the camel's back. He's seeing himself objectively from the viewpoint of the people that he just recently talked to. And he's going, I do look like a lapdog for these people. I should at least know if there's something shady going on, I think is what's going through his mind here.
Yeah, that was my vibe too. Of he has that moment of, or if not that, just this moment of like, hey, something's off here. Like it's just off here.
Yep.
And we get a really good scene here that I like, because he goes out to the trash and he searches through the trash and he finds it, and he's sitting there with his dog.
Yes.
Back then, the dog is
and he
leaning
just
on him.
saved the other dog at the Red Rocket. Yes.
And then we flip back to the future, and he's sitting there with dog meat just on his lap, and he says, I forget the name of the dog. You're not sorry. You're not.
He calls the dog dog meat. He says, I'm sorry, dog meat, but you ate him.
Yeah,
talking about
you ain't
Roosevelt,
him, dog meat.
His
dog
past
meat
dog.
to me, that's Fallout 1. I mean,
yes.
you bring that one back.
All the dogs. Ever since Fallout 1,
meat.
all the dogs are dog meat. And his dog back in the past is Roosevelt, which he keeps mentioning the name Roosevelt, which is interesting because Roosevelt is not an overly conservative president. He would have been a more liberal president who would have been associated back in those days with connections to what eventually people were labeling communism and the McCarthy area, all of that, right?
Yeah.
So
FDR is the reason we got a lot of that stuff. But
right. It all connects back. And so you can even see in the way that he named his dog that his heart really isn't in the misinformation. It's in, the liberal things that benefit the community and the people around him that are now being mislabeled as communist. So I thought that was interesting. It's time for that spring reset. I'm taking a look at everything in my closet and figuring out that, oh no, this absolutely needs to go. And it's about time I replace things so that my clothes aren't older than my 15-year-old. Now you might think that they lasted that long because they were well made, but no, they're in terrible condition. Unlike the new jeans I just got from Quince. Jeans have always been my personal go-to because you can kind of wear them for lots of different things, but maybe they're not your thing. Maybe you're looking for, 100% European linen with insanely soft flow knit activewear fabric. It's definitely getting warmer, and their flow knit activewear is moisture wicking, anti-odor, and soft enough that you'll actually want to wear it every day. So pick out what you want. You can't go wrong because they have prices 50 to 60% less than similar brands. And like I said before, they are high quality. I continue to wear their clothes all the time, and I know that these new jeans are going to last me a lot better than the other things in my wardrobe. And on top of it, they look great. They're so comfortable, and I spent just as much on the jeans that I am now cleaning out of my wardrobe. So if you're looking for something better, just all around better, go check out Quince. So go do it right now. Refresh your wardrobe with Quince. Go to quince.com/falloutlore for free shipping and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. Go to quince.com/falloutlore for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/falloutlore. Then we get to Thaddeus at the radio station, KPSS. And we have Fred Armisen, right?
Fred Armistice, which just is a win for all of us when Fred Armistice pops out.
Another comedian showing up in the show with this wonderful role. And on top of it, Fred Armisen is known for doing this like music snob kind of shtick. He did some of that on Saturday Night Live and some other stuff.
Hard on it too.
Yes. And he is known for bringing up obscure like punk bands or indie bands or whatever and talking about how they're so cool in certain ways, which is exactly what his character's doing with this terrible fiddle music.
Yeah. So and talking about, you can hear the high end and then the mid and all this stuff. And poor Thaddeus sitting there like, oh yeah, that's the mid. It has a great line. Yes, because there's Fred Armistice is just going at him like with just all these things about, can you believe some people don't like this music? They get really upset. And, and Thaddeus like, I can't believe some people are just so uneducated in music, whatever.
But which is the conversation we've all had at some point in like, I don't know, when we were college age or whatever.
Some record store.
And and somebody's like, oh man, this band's so great because of this thing. We're like, yeah, they're the best. Yeah, I like them too.
I don't like them. Yes, I'm sorry. I don't like this. It sounds bad to me, which means a lot coming from me. People who know what my musical taste is. It's not impressive. But anyway, then we get one of my favorite scenes where I forget exactly how they get to it, but like talking about the booby traps.
Okay. So let me. I've got the details here. Let me just go through it real quick. Thaddeus says, "Good job with those booby traps," and then Lucy and Maximus approach. Thaddeus misses them with every shot. Well, he unloads a clip.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, I like the scene though with the booby traps. They zoom out of the booby traps, and you can just see. I mean, thanks even congratulate somebody. Oh, that one over there is pretty creative.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's like people's like heads are being cut off. I mean, they're everywhere, and that's what I say. I love this whole idea. And Fred Armisen is just kind of looking at him and smiling, like, yeah, they're pretty good. But also this implies like, how did you get through them?
Right. Okay, yeah, but now we're here having this conversation. Lucy says, we just want the head. I'm the person who cut it off. Thaddeus then gets an arrow in the neck from one of the traps, but he doesn't die. And this is another one of those strong pieces of evidence for the fact that that was not just a stim pack. There's something else going on. He even says, why am I not dead? And he pulls it out, and then he heals up. And then Maximus says, I think you might be a ghoul.
Yeah. And then Thaddeus has a great line of, I never should have trusted a doctor that smelled like that.
Yeah, right.
I love that line.
Right. Like, it makes you wonder, like, okay, what exactly did he smell like? But okay.
Yeah.
Then the vertebrates are incoming. And then Thaddeus has this moment. He doesn't say it, but you get the sense that he realizes that he is now a mutant and he will never be accepted by the Brotherhood. They will kill him. And so he needs to go away.
Yeah. Well, and they get a great line here too, because the Brotherhood's coming in and Lucy says, this is a good thing, right? The Brotherhood are the good guys.
Right.
And Thaddeus and Maximus go,
it's complicated.
It's complicated. And it's a great line.
Yep. Which is absolutely true. Like, yeah, they can be the good guys, but are they always the good guys?
And so, yeah, to your point, Thaddeus now runs away and leaves them with the head. And we get kind of just this. It's a fun scene I liked where Maximus, and this is what we talk about the character arc. Now Maximus's arc has flipped. He is now becoming the hero. He went from being this dolt who really kind of just couldn't get through stuff. Personally, I thought it was overplayed before. I didn't really love the character he was early on in the show.
Right.
I felt he just played it too far. It's me criticizing an actor, and I don't act, so maybe I'm just being a jerk.
For whatever sort. I mean, but everybody as a viewer has their own.
Exactly. But I liked this flip we get here, because now we get this moment where he has this realization of like, knowing they will kill Lucy. So I have to get her out of here, but but they won't kill her if I have the head.
Right.
So he picks up, thanks to booby traps, a random head.
Yes.
And begins bashing it to the ground because he has to make it unrecognizable.
Right.
Because the Brotherhood also don't know what the person they're looking for looks like.
Well, they got a printout. They got a printout. Remember that screen they printed out? And it was very low resolution. Right. It was like ASCII printed on a screen onto a piece of paper.
A dot matrix.
It was like a dot matrix kind of thing. But I feel like there were like letters and shapes in there that kind of, when you know, it's the kind of thing you hold far enough away and it starts to make a shape. But would they have recognized? They probably, if it was different enough, they would have been like, this isn't the right head. So he had to bash it in. And then he says, go find your dad. And they kiss. We get a kiss.
Yeah. And this scene's funny because they kiss, and then there's like you clip over, the music is still playing. Fred Armisen opens the door and looks out and smiles, like looking at the people like kissing to his music. Because again, it goes to your point of like the music snob, like, look, I've created love.
It's a moment.
Yeah, with my fiddles.
Yeah,
like,
with my screechy fiddle song.
Yeah, and then it zooms lower, and because they're both holding a severed head, the two severed heads are also kissing.
Yes, right.
And I like this because it kept it kind of just campy and silly.
It was meaningful and yet still totally part of the way that world is at the same time. Yeah. And then the song that overlays on top of it that, drowns out the fiddle music is You're Everything by the Danliers, which again is a You're Everything, right? You're everything to me. And then she says, I'll wait for you in Vault 33. Find me. And he says, I will. So we everything about the end of the scene is there to tell us that there is a romantic connection and they want to find each other again, but they have to part ways. And so this is it. And maybe they'll never see each other. We know they do see each other again, but maybe they never will. So it becomes this, important scene. Then we're back to Vault 33 and Betty saying goodbye to those leaving for Vault 32. She's giving them kind of this pep talk, right? And Zach says he's not going. He tries to get out of it, and then he's stopped by the guards, and he immediately just gives up. And he's just like, yeah, okay, I don't know what I was thinking. Because, again, showing us that, like, these people are cowards. They don't really have morals that they stand up for. They as soon as they start to do something, any amount of friction, and they just give up. So that's it. Betty confirmed with the High Council that Stephanie is now interim overseer of 32. Notice the mention of the High Council.
Yep.
That hasn't been mentioned yet on the show, and I think we are to believe that that is the management in Vault 31, who is the High Council. It's probably just she talked to Bud.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
That was
Or
it.
she just made the decision herself with Stephanie. Yeah,
Right.
which we'll get more reveal on her in the next episode. But yeah, so
Right.
Stephanie's the new overseer. So now we have two overseers.
Right. Both from Vault 31. Stephanie's going to be 30 for 32. Betty's going to be for 33. And then
Yep.
there's a song that plays From the First Hello to the Last Goodbye by Jane Morgan, because they're all leaving for the vault. Right. Everyone has everything they own. This is one of my little notes here that I noticed in a small box. Most of the stuff in the vault is not anybody's specific stuff. The things anyone owns can fit in one little box that they can carry into the other vault, which is interesting, right? Like, they don't really have the autonomy they seem to think they have.
Well, no, because you're in a living pod, and so
Yeah.
you're assigned a living pod, and the living pod gives you everything that you could need.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so,
then,
but then we get Norm stepping up.
Yeah. Yeah. Norm leaves before everything's over, and the scene pans out as Chet holding a baby looks very unsure as the door closes.
Well, Chet looks defeated. I mean, that's the whole point of this. That Chet and Steph are together, and you can see he is not happy with this situation.
No, and he's holding the baby, which is the
that's
thing
not
that
even
she
his
said she
baby,
was going to do,
correct?
so he could do everything else. And now the baby's back in his arms. Like, okay, but now that you're not doing anything, you hold the baby, which just shows that she's in complete control of the situation.
Everything.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
And then we get a great moment where Norm has to go hack.
Yes. So Norm walks through the vault. He goes to the overseer's office. He turns on the computer. He uses the sysadmin bypass, and then we get the typical Fallout hacking puzzle.
The thing all of us have done 1,000 times. Yep. Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
The solution is dubbed, Dubbed. I'm sure that's intentional, but I'm not 100% sure why that was the word they picked. Maybe because if you turn dubbed like DUB around, it becomes Bud. I don't know. But then he chooses send message to Overseer 31. This chat window opens. He says, I need to return to 31. Are you compromised? Mission not going as planned. Okay, return to 31.
I can tell you why. I did look up real quick. So dubbed also can mean to give a nickname to something.
Oh.
So dubbed is it's a term for lie.
Right. Or to dub over something is to replace it with something else.
Yep.
Right. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Okay. So that's cool. And then Norm goes to 31. He enters and he discovers this like little robo brain. We don't really see it yet in this scene, but there's something stuck on the ground, and then it ends.
And it pans out. Yep. And that's the end of the scene. So yeah, we're getting, obviously, the second to last episodes should be good. We've all seen TV shows where they're not. It happens. But in this one,
typically they're a setup episode, right? They're a setup for the climax. And they need to make sure all the pieces are in the right place so that the climax can go off and we can finally put all the pieces together and go, oh, that's the puzzle. That's the thing I was trying to figure out.
Exactly.
And I think this episode did a great job. Did you think so?
Oh, yeah. What I felt this episode, all of us and a lot of you, we knew at the end all the loose ends were going to come back together again. And now they're not all the way there, but we're seeing the overlap. All the characters now seem to have some semblance of similarity. And so we know they're all going to be kind of coming near each other. And then at the same time, we also have the Norm bit where we're going to get a big reveal. So we know, because Norm, obviously, it's pretty obvious Lucy's not going back to the vault, like, ever, because any of us who've ever played Fallout, you don't do that.
I mean,
so
or you do, and then you get kicked out again, or you do, and then it's like Vault 101 and everything's terrible, or, you can, but you can't, to your point, you can't go back to the same vault that would let you back in and accept you as things were before you left.
And that's why, like, the Norm character is giving us a way to actually get a ton of intel into the vaults without having to be, and also Lucy's learning this stuff. So I really liked that piece. I did like the whole concept of, like, her learning just more and more about how terrible the world is. And we are starting to get a better understanding of who the ghoul is and what his purpose is.
Right. So. I also like your points about Lucy and Maximus kind of on these journeys towards each other. One coming from a place of what she thought was morality and truth, realizing that wasn't the truth, but still trying to understand how morality works in the wasteland. The other, Maximus, coming from a place of basically just being stranded and having no moral compass and realizing that a moral compass is a potential thing, and then it might lead to a better life for him, or at least people he cares about. And that juxtaposition, that both of their character arcs are kind of convening here. And that, I think, is really smart. And it makes you wonder, what is the person who's we haven't seen the most character development for yet is the Ghoul. We know that there's past character development, right? There's Cooper in the past moving towards eventually being the Ghoul because he's now stuck in the wasteland for 200 years. But who the Ghoul then becomes from this point forward is left very vague. We get little glimpses of like, okay, there's still some humanity in him because he still takes care of the dog. He saves the dog a second time. And then there's some connection there to Lucy and what actually is going on and all of that. But we don't see a whole lot of movement for his morality arc in this season.
Not at all. And I think that's what makes him kind of a cool character for us, because he's still the mystery. We're going into the end. He's still the mystery. We understand Lucy's got her purpose. Obviously there's some stuff changes, but he's the one where you're like, what is it effectively? Is he the antagonist? Is he the protagonist? He's not an NPC. So where does he fit inside of a story arc?
Right.
And that's the big question on him. And that's the piece they kind of leave more to the final episode to answer more of. In
D&D terms, he's kind of the chaotic neutral character. And we're waiting to see what, like that morality grid. We're waiting to see like what direction does he move on the grid? Because as with any story, and I think this is something, sometimes I bring this stuff up and people are like, are you sure that's a thing? And I'm like, have you just watch any movie, watch any TV show, read any book. There is no character and no major character in any of those books that starts in one place and doesn't end up in a different place by the end of the story, or at least goes on some journey and then returns back to where they were. There's always some sort of character progress. And
you're going to take your nine square, we're both D&D kids, so let's just deal with this.
Sure.
And the fact of the matter is that, and what happens is any good story, you're going to move them around a little bit.
Yes.
Some cases, like the case of the Ghoul, we think this is either lawful evil, chaotic evil. Then we starts moving up into chaotic neutral, potentially into a chaotic good, because that tends to be how, it's the way that those, in good writing, the way that those types of setups work, where you have your one line is chaotic, your one line is neutral, your one line is lawful, and then you have good, neutral, and then evil in top of it.
Right.
And people tend to move within some sort of linear pattern, either straight up and down, horizontal, or diagonal. The diagonal ones are a little bit weirder when they do. And that's what we're seeing in these character arcs. You're seeing someone, you're seeing, in the case of Maximus, light years selfish. So really, the true neutral is kind of where he was, borderline onto like chaotic neutral. He wasn't evil, but it's
neutral. I think is pretty accurate. I think you nailed it with that. And he's flirting with moving up to good.
Exactly.
But we don't know if that's where he will end up in the end.
Yeah, Lucy is lawful neutral to start, and then over the course of it starts moving. She stays within lawful good to start.
Yes,
and she stays within good, but she moves over to neutral good. She's not quite chaotic, but she's definitely into neutral good at this point, because she threw acid in someone's face.
Right,
she's murdering people. She is doing these types of things. The Ghoul, like I said, is the opposite. I mean, this is a true evil character who's now, because we're getting his backstory, is moving up a little bit.
Right, right. In the intro, he seems like he's chaotic evil.
Very much so.
And the story is now progressing him more into the chaotic neutral range. Where he ends up, we still don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we'll cover maybe more in the next episode. And then you also still have Moldiver, who is this lawful evil? No, then we see the flashback. And again, she flips up. Actually, it's more lawful, potentially even lawful good. And then, of course, Lucy's father, who we'll get to later. Yeah. And all of the characters fall into these little boats. And that's why I like it a lot.
Right. And they move around. And somebody's going to write me and be like, well, what about characters who always stay in the same slot? That does happen, but there are often, the part of their journey is the temptation to change, and then they resist the change. So like a truly lawful good character may start lawful good at the beginning of the story and then end lawful good, but their arc is that they will come across some significant temptation and they will have to deal with that. And so that's part of moving around. in my
my
explanation.
argument is that usually the characters who don't change are usually side characters who are there to either guide or tempt the
Right.
main character.
Right.
You're going to have a chaotic evil character or lawful
Right.
evil whose job is to try and bring the lawful neutral down into neutral or lawful neutral.
Right.
Or they're an ultimate like positive character trying to always uplift everyone.
Right.
But yeah,
They're usually not a POV character. And in some cases, they are the villain who is just always going to be lawful evil or chaotic evil or something like that.
yeah, the Joker. Yeah,
right.
That's the idea.
He doesn't really have a
none of the
character arc.
movies.
He's just who he is. And the other characters have to then deal with him around that. And he's the force that causes the other characters to deal with their own morality issues. And so that's the way that kind of lays out. And so there you go. I mean, just kind of fun talk about this kind of stuff.
Sorry to D&D
on the
and
same
everybody.
page,
I can't help it.
Yeah, I know. No, I'm the one who brought up the grid, so that's my fault. But John, thank you for knocking this episode out with me and going back through this again. This has been super fun. We've got one more episode to go through, and then we got season 2. So stay tuned for that. And John, anything you want to share before we wrap this up?
Yeah, if you like my voice, and it's kind of a lovely voice, I have to listen to it now when I edit cast. It's fine. You can hear me on the Fallout. On the 40K Lorecast.
There you go.
Available, and the History of 40K, both also available on podcasting platforms and YouTube.
Yeah, and part of the Robots Radio Network, just like a bunch of other shows. Go check out all the other shows. Yeah.
And if you like Tom and I, you like both of our voices, good news. Then you've got Retro Recall, a new show we just brought up on kind of what a lot of the shows about retro video game, talking about things like Double Dragon, things like Mega Man, Duke Nukem. I mean, Battletoads.
Yeah.
Get in there, guys. It's super fun.
Yeah, people have been commenting. Somebody was like, "Hey, you should do Earthworm Jim," and I'm like, "Yep, it's coming. It's coming.
Oh, yeah.
We're getting through these."
Earthworm Jim happened.
Yep.
Earthworm Jim happened. That game is hard. Ugh.
Yep. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in. I'm going to take a quick break. I'll be back with patron stuff after this, so don't go anywhere. Thanks again to John for being here and helping me out with these episodes. And also, thank you to all of our patrons, everyone who helps to support and keep the show going at patreon.com/FalloutLorecast, including our newest patrons, Logan E., Coffee Cat, Pipey, and Benjamin W. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you are enjoying your ad-free episodes, or eventually you'll get t-shirts and stickers if you stick around long enough. Plus, at the Assaultron level, you can join us for our monthly patron chats, and you know that we will be discussing the TV show on those. Also, thanks so much to our Sentry bots who get shoutouts every week, Germinator, Dusty Ray, and Ira M. Thank you so much for your support. Also, as always, if you leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, we'll read it out on a future episode, like this one from Victor the Securitron. What? Well, ain't that a kick in the head? 5 stars. Howdy, partner. I was moseying along through the Mojave when I decided to take a gander at this here podcast. Now, when I'm not spying on Good Springs, I listen to this. It's a rootin' tootin' shootin' good time. Keep up the good work, friend. From Victor. Well, thank you very much, Victor. And I have to wonder if we'll be seeing you in the next season of the Fallout TV show. Curious. Thanks again, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your week, and make sure to comment. Tell us your thoughts. Are we hitting things on the head? Are we missing certain details? Click the Patreon link and come join us chatting on our Patreon, or just comment on this episode wherever you're listening to it. Any of that stuff. It's all very helpful. Thanks so much. Stay safe out there, and we will see you next time. To plug into everything else we're doing, check out robotsradio.net. Reach out to me on Twitter at robots_radio. Check out the Robots Radio Rocket Club, where you can join me and a bunch of our other creators creating your podcast, starting a new podcast, or helping your current podcast grow. There's more information about that on robotsradio.net as well. And you can always talk with us and the entire community, over 2,000 people on the Robots Radio Discord. Come join us. We'd love to chat with you. See you guys next time.